You are now listening to TOL Podcast, Thinking Out Loud with your host, Jay Lip.
And we back, Yeah, it's your boy Jay Lip in the building. TOLpodcast.com. Go there, get it, iTunes, Google Play. All that shit is there for you and ready for you to listen to it. For tonight, we're going to jump straight into the conversation that we had before the technical difficulties on the Facebook Live. So, Jay Lip, talking to myself, let's go. We're going to jump straight into it. Like I said, I gave a big ass shout out to Juanetta Stokes, and I gave a big ass shout out to my bro, Wakanda Style, D Woods. Darren, what's good, baby? Love you, bro. See, so Jasmine said, "Let's get it just to you." So that's what I'm feeling right now. She heard you say her name, and she's like, "Let's get it," but Juanetta can't hear me, so there we go, five lips. Oh, wow. Okay. With that being said, we're gonna jump straight into it. Like I said, I gave a big ass shout out to Juanetta Stokes, and I gave a big ass shout out to my bro, Wakanda Style, D Woods. Darren, what's good, baby? Love you, bro. Thank you for supporting. With that being said, let's jump into these topics real quick. Now, first and foremost, we're gonna knock it out. It's 6:28, and we know people got things to do, so let's get it in. Oscars. A couple years ago, now, KG would say it was a couple years ago. I say it was last year.
It was 2015. We fact checked it.
Okay, no, you fact checked it.
I fact checked it.
Either way, it was Oscar So Black, right?
Oscar So White.
No, it wasn't Oscar So White. It was Oscar So Black, right?
2 years ago?
2 years ago? Yeah, okay.
Oscar So White, 2015.
I just like to be double teamed so I could come back with this hit like, damn, Jordan Peele, Get Out, Screenplay of the Year. My man took it home, held that golden trophy in the air and said, "We did it, baby, we did it." Now, I want to ask y'all a question. How important is it at these venues when there are awards given to the multitude of people who have participated in media arts that don't concentrate themselves around African American, Black, or people of color? How important are these awards to us? And should they be as important to us as the award shows that do focus on us, like the BET, the NAACP, the Essence Awards? Let me know what y'all think.
The way I see it, I think it's super important to see people who look like us receiving accolades for their hard work. I mean, the way that I see it, there are young people who are interested in doing those things, making movies, being in movies. So having us on stage receiving awards is just a nod to them to say, yes, like what I'm doing is fruitful. I can be recognized for what I do, and that I have an opportunity maybe down the line to do this professionally and be recognized for it. I think it's super important.
Kobe, you can speak now. I already asked the question to both of y'all.
I definitely agree. I mean, I think
I'm the host. Let's not forget that shit.
The way she articulated was perfect. The only thing I could probably add on to that is when we do have our own award ceremonies, it's great because, we always need to recognize ourselves. The only thing I would say is that I think for most people, not just Black people, but I think for most people, it's important to be able to transcend across any kind of award show or to be recognized across any kind of performance. So, I mean, while in the past we have had to have our own award ceremonies to, say, hey, the work that we do as well is meaningful, it's still important for us to be able to play in any sandbox and not just have our own simply because they didn't want to recognize us.
Okay, that's a good point. I got to question that, though. You say play in our own sandbox, and to me that's kind of demeaning because it almost sounds like you're saying our own sandbox is just the BET and the Centric and the VH1 Hip Hop and all those other bullshit awards that we give each other for people who aren't really on. We on, but we not on. And I feel go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Let me clarify
and
that.
Before
So
you do that, let me do a quick shout out. Tanja Harden, love you, girl. Mad Skills, Rob D, my bro. Aaron, what up, though? Go ahead.
So it's not to say that those, award ceremonies don't matter because you can go back, even from when, we were children, adolescents, young adults. They had important figures there. The Diana Rosses, the Sidney Poitiers, the Princes. I mean, anyone you could really imagine that was a heavyweight in their own respected, talent. These people were showing up to, the award shows that were highlighting us. I'm simply saying that when you have people like Jordan Peele who win on a big stage, not just people who are, recognizing him for, people who look like him for his own work, that speaks volumes, especially to boys and girls who look like Jordan Peele, saying, hey, if this man won in this arena, I can win in this arena, and I don't just have to settle for a BET award or anything like that. So it's all about just having that representation, right? Because, I mean, think about it. When we wanted to go to school in the olden days, when we couldn't go to white schools, so we actually had to found our own HBCUs, and today those universities still thrive. It's important. I mean, there's a lot of people who go to HBCUs because it's like, what, these are my people and I'm learning from them. However, those same people are still winning awards in their own professions, and not only, being represented by people who look like them, but people all across, whether it's corporate America, whether if it's, arts, or whatever the course may be. So it's important to learn what you need to learn from your folks, but be able to take those lessons and win accolades across the board, no matter, what award ceremony it is.
Okay. All right. So we're basically saying you can't really take away the fact that where they get the award from is disingenuous from the fact that they still won an award, correct?
Exactly, because when some people look at some awards that you've won, I mean, go back to the Monique situation with Netflix, right?
Oh Lord, please no.
Oh, I'm gonna keep it short. What some people would say, well, you've only sold out, this type of arena, right? Right. So to say you've only won a BET award, okay, well, when you can add on the fact that you won a BET award and an Oscar, like, they can't take anything away from you, right? So that's why it's important. That's why it's so powerful to be able to play in any arena or any sandbox, as I said.
Okay, so for you, Tony, I want to ask you this. So with Jordan Peele winning Get Out for Best Screenplay, what does that mean as far as like the next step, as far as furthering the culture? Because right now, in my opinion, what I really wanted to see was Black Panther be on that ballot. But because of the cutoff date, because of the cutoff date, we had to basically say, Black Panther will hopefully be on there next year, but it's so early in the year, I was kind of thinking like, shit, like, man, people might forget about the importance that it was. However, they didn't forget about the importance of Get Out, and Get Out came out early last season, so maybe I might be right and I might be wrong. Go ahead.
I think when it comes down to it, one of the nice things about Get Out is seeing a person of color win an award for something other than actually acting.
Yep.
On that platform, I think is super important to show that, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into creating a movie. There's music, there's sound, there's lighting, there's directing, there's writing the screenplay, there's acting. There's so many different ways for us to win. So I think it gives just kind of a nod to somebody who's interested in getting in the entertainment business to say, well, I don't only have to be an actor to win an award on this stage. I can do lots of different things. I can do whatever it is that I'm actually good at. So I think it's really fantastic that he won for something other than being an actor. We've seen, thankfully, and continue to see Black actors winning those accolades, but seeing somebody behind the scenes win for amazing work, amazing work, I think it just reinforces the fact that we are just as good as this shit as anybody else. Mm-hmm. And as far as Black Panther, I mean, there was definitely the cutoff, but you have to understand too, the Black Panther actors were still represented.
Yes, they were.
The awards. They were on the red carpet looking amazing.
Yes, and they were.
Nobody's gonna forget about Black Panther come next year. I promise you that.
You hope.
I agree. I agree.
And I agree with both of y'all as far as like hoping that we don't forget about that. But I want to say this: 2 years ago, according to KG's research, and we really don't know how strong that was. I doubt it in all essence. But as far as KG's research, it was 2 years ago where it was Oscar So White. So now you're seeing diversity, right? Bro, why are you the dog? Get back on right.
I just wanted to show him. I just wanted to show him.
Don't do that. Right? Don't stop it. So, with that being said, what do we feel about this new movement, which is another socially conscious movement of, Me Too, hashtag Me Too movement, where you see people wearing the pins and they're wearing the lapels that say Me Too. Like, what is the feeling that we feel as like a community or a culture about the Me Too movement and how it affects us as Black people?
Well, I think with respect to the Oscars, it was a timely conversation to come up on such a large platform, and I appreciated seeing the support for the movement. I think Me Too has its issues, but ultimately, I'm just saying the way that it's translated, sometimes it has its issues, but I think for the most part, it's a positive movement, and we saw that reflected also in the winners. There were a lot of female winners this time around at the Oscars. So I was grateful that they used that platform for something positive. I mean, it's so much of Hollywood is politics anyway, so it makes sense that it was brought up.
KG, are we making sure? Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I'll say this, right? Just what Me Too represents, I think it's a very bold, I think it's a very noble cause, right? The only thing that I have questions or reservations about is if these things were happening, why wait so long, right? Because to me,
go ahead.
Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing.
Get it out, bro.
If I'm at work and someone grabs my Johnson, right? Someone's probably going to know about it right away. Now, I have theories. One of my theories is, hey, you know what? These people at the time this happened, they were hot in Hollywood. They were getting a check. They didn't want to slow the money up. I get it. I totally understand it. But the thing that you got to report it when it happens. You can't wait until, you know, you're not maybe as hot as you once were and you need to kind of have a little bit. And I don't want to say have relevance because I think that's insulting to say, but I think other people would very easily be able to draw, you know, that conclusion from these accolades. I think when it happens, it needs to be reported. And at the same time, you can't let certain things like that slide, because what kind of culture are you foisting within, you know, the not the economy, but you know,
the culture,
the business, the culture. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna look at you. I'm gonna look at you dead in your eye in my camera right now, and I'm gonna tell you this: I can't laugh or smile because, damn it, I smile, and I'm laughing because I know that Mrs. Lip has had such a strong opinion about this that I'm not willing to even open up that can of worms tonight. We just don't have the time. It's a great conversation.
And I don't want Tony or anyone else to hear this to think that Kobe's saying, oh, well, you know, these people should be able to get away. No, they shouldn't. They should be held accountable.
Hold on. Before you say Kobe, hold on. This is you A1 with me. We on one accord right now. So let's link up. The problem that I had with the Oscars and the post-Oscars movement was the fact that Kobe won for, I think it was, he got an Oscar for writing and narrating, if I'm not mistaken. And with that being said, all of a sudden, the next day, you see a slew of news reports that talk about the fact that, you know, 15, 13 years ago, I don't even know, over a decade ago, he dealt with an issue of sexual misconduct with a young lady. And he did not get charged, what I would say, with a felony, but he definitely
any crimes.
He didn't get charged with any crimes. He had a civil suit that was settled. You know, people got paid. You know, and some people look at that as an admission of guilt. I look at it as an admission of, I need to get rid of this situation so I could keep on moving with my professional career. However, with that being said, why is it that so long after this man has won numerous MVP titles, NBA titles, call out.
Two more after that.
He keep going. That's what I'm saying. Like, he kept winning.
Olympic gold medals.
Olympian. But endorsements. But all of a sudden, we say, you know what? All of a sudden, it's time to bring back up the fact that he was alleged to have had sexual misconduct with an individual, and for that reason we should judge him in a manner that takes away or denigrates the award that he won that night. That's my issue. And that question is, when will a black man in America be free from the judgment and the perception of public opinion? And that's what it comes down to.
I don't think he'll ever stop being judged in a court of public opinion. I'll tell you why. Because what you saw Kobe Bryant do that night, he did something that for a lot of people was outside their lexicon. For a lot of people, Kobe Bryant was just supposed to be an athlete who did nothing more than put balls in hoops and shoot 3-pointers.
Shut up and dribble.
And shut up and dribble. Exactly. And I love the shot he threw at, and I'm not going to say her name, but the shot he threw at the lady from Fox. And it's, listen, anytime that you do something that's outside of people's lexicon or anything that they expect you to be able to do, and again, go back to Black Panther, right? When the colonizer woke up in Suri's lab, and he was just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. No, you weren't expecting this from the people in whom you were surrounded from, right? You knew all these things could be done. You knew someone could, win an award for telling people about their life's passion. You just weren't expecting it from, a person that has a stature of Kobe Bryant. So as long as you continue to do things that are outside, people's lexicon of which they want you to be able to do, they're always going to throw shade, because now it's like, wow, you're doing something that I didn't expect you to do. If more people see you doing this, then that could drive more people to want to write, or more people to narrate, or more people to do scores. And for some people, that just, instead of looking at it like, wow, this is going to push the culture forward and produce and push the end product to be greater, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they feel themselves that they cannot compete. And I think it's the wrong attitude to have.
I agree.
As far as to answer your question, when can a Black man be great? As long as he's making someone else money.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on 1 second now, because you took it to a place that's kind of dangerous. Now, I was asking, when can the Black man be free from being subject to the court of social and public opinion, and you said when a Black man can be great. Those are kind of two different conversations, but they're one and the same, because greatness without that social judgment is true greatness. Greatness with the social judgment is not true greatness, because there's always going to be a mark. There's always going to be like a dash against your name of why you don't truly deserve to be
that
what
asterisk.
You have earned. The asterisk.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Tony?
The way I see it, I mean, it was a cheap shot. I think the loudest voices that were talking about what he was accused of over a decade ago were gossip blogs, gossip columns, and just authors who didn't have anything else to talk about. Everything has to be sensationalized. Everything has to get dredged up. If he wouldn't have won, they would have come up with something else about someone else. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that's just the nature of Hollywood. I think that's the nature of media and the culture that we live in right now. You can't avoid the skeletons in your closet. Everything is so public. So, I mean, they're bound to drag up something about someone after this award show.
So when do we take it upon ourselves as individuals and say, you know what, this happened X amount of time ago, it was acquitted, it was dismissed, it was settled out of court, and I kind of translate this to the Nate Parker situation, where when Nate Parker self-funded the Nat Turner movie, the biopic, and there came a boycott because he allegedly had a situation earlier in his life where he was a part of sexual misconduct as well, but though he was acquitted of those charges. So, but you still had the boycott, and he still suffered financially from the number of people who were able to come out and see the movie based off the strength of them believing that he's still some type of criminal. When do we put the foot down and say, God damn, like, this happened and he was not found guilty, let it go? When does that happen? And I'm going to ask you that, KG, and then I'm going to ask you that, Tony. What do y'all think on that part? Because it's not fair.
I think you'll start to see that start to subside when we as a people attack that like we attack so many other things, right? So if you look at who's the biggest proponent of that message, it's the media. They're the ones who report on it. They're the ones who get it out. They're the ones who continue to stoke those flames. As long as they don't receive backlash from their viewing audience, they're going to continue to do it. But as soon as you start to hold media accountable and say, hey, well, wait a minute, these things happened, so many years ago, it could even be out of the statute of limitations. Why are you even bringing this up? Or you even provide counterfacts to that, and you force them to look in the mirror and say, hey, we are kind of being, a little pompous and definitely circumstantial here. We should probably cool out, because obviously people aren't fans when we do that. Until you really start to see that happening, I don't know if it's ever going to subside. I think once you do start to kind of encourage that behavior, it'll start to go away.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. I think if we just indulge in media at face value, we'll continue to have these kinds of issues because they have to write columns. That's what they get paid for. If they don't produce content, they don't make money. So they're going to say and do whatever they have to do to get that clickbait and to get people riled up to do something. So maybe on the converse, we need to, like you said, KG, make our own movement of those things. I would have been pleased to see Black people say, look, this happened a really long time ago. This is an important and influential movie. We need to, make sure we get our butts in those seats and support this film. But you didn't have that. And when it comes to Birth of a Nation, it was a very, very important movie. I did see it, but I think, too, our culture was a little worn out when it came to seeing Black people not winning. So
let's go ahead and say, you said that people were tired of seeing slavery movies.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of a strike against the movie because I'm just so worn out with kind of reliving that part of our history on screen. That's why it was so refreshing to have something like Black Panther, where you have an entire nation of people who are on the cutting edge of everything amazing. So, it's unfortunate what happened to Nate Parker and Birth of a Nation, but I think it's important for us to make sure that we're that counter to that negativity.
Because they're not going to do it.
No, of course not. Why would they?
Right, exactly.
It's of no benefit of them to make sure we win.
Exactly.
So in closing, I want to say this. I appreciate both of the feedback perspectives that y'all have given. And the final question, and really more so, not even a question, but just kind of the last word, I want to start off with you, KG, special guest in the building, the big homie, who really helped get all this shit together. I love you, bro. Thank you.
Love is mutual, man.
I want you to have the last word on what you want to sum up and what you want to let the people know. Anything that you have not shared already about the topic, anything that you're promoting, anything that you want shared, is your time. Go.
I just want to piggyback off of something that Tony said, right? We were tired of seeing our people being portrayed as slaves. I hope they never make another movie about us being slaves again. However, if they made 20 years worth of movies where folks who look like us were being portrayed as they were in Black Panther, I'd be totally okay with that. Totally okay with that. I also think a part of that is, we as owning our identity have to, basically mold and shape what we want to be portrayed as, right? So we've got to, say, hey, we're either going to support this or we're not going to support this. Maybe we need more people. I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there who can write, and they don't want to because they have a lot of self-doubt within themselves. I promise you, if there's ever something that you've been thinking about, maybe you should do or if you shouldn't, you don't want to be 90 years old one day rocking on the porch thinking, what if? So whatever it is that you have inside you right now, just run with it. Because if you ask me, I think you're going to be surprised if you put your heart and your all into it and you use those talents that God gave you, you're going to be very surprised to see how receptive to a lot of people are to your message. And that's not something you should let go by the wayside. Whatever it is, if you want to sing, sing. If you want to dance, dance. If you want to create, create. But do it now while you're young, because now you can afford to make the mistakes. You can't necessarily do that, in 20 or 30 years. Don't let your talents go to waste.
Amen to that, brother. And I'm going to also pass it again to the Mrs. Lip, my 8-year marriage partner in this bitch. I want to say, first and foremost, again, I love you, but you got the last word, so go ahead, baby. Let them know what it is.
Just to piggyback off of that, I think we too can also take more initiative in supporting the causes of people who look like us. Even if we're not our own content creators, we can at least be our own supporters. We can put our money and our time and our efforts and our voices behind each other. So if you see somebody doing something amazing, let somebody know, show them some love, support them, purchase whatever it is that they're purchasing, watch their vlogs and do whatever we need to do to make sure that the positivity we're putting out in the world is reinforced. Because if you're speaking from a mountaintop and nobody hears it, you're only going to be up there for so long. So we need to put in the effort to make sure we're appreciated by us.
FUBU, for us, by us. No promotion, but just saying it works. With that being said, TOLpodcast.com. It's your boy J Lip. You know what this is. You know who I am. Think It Out Loud podcast, Facebook Live every Tuesday, normally at 6 p.m. 6:30 tonight, but 6 p.m. normally. We will be back next week. And per usual, I gotta thank the big homie KG in the building. KG, thank you, bro.
It was a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me again.
And then Mrs. Lip, love you, baby.
Love you too.
And so KG, what we do is we do a long and then we say we out. So
You telling me like I don't know this?
And
And
we out. Let's get it. Ah! All right, love y'all. Peace.
This episode of TOL Podcast was executive produced by J Lip. And for more episodes, we're on YouTube, SoundCloud, and now iTunes. Go to TOLpodcast.com for the latest. Thank you for listening.